Hey loved ones, I'm Lucy and this is Pussy Powered. In today's video, we're talking about the role of fantasies and porn. This is a question that comes up quite often. Should I be watching porn? Is it okay? Is it bad? Is it a slippery slope into something deeper, darker, and scarier? And well, while I would love to give you a straightforward, clear answer like this is just what it is, period, it's not that simple. Our personal journeys within our sexuality are quite nuanced and, well, unique to us. What fits into someone's particular season of their journey may not fit into another person's current season of their journey. That said, here are a few things to consider on your journey. First, let's talk about sexual arousal through the power of fantasy. As Dr. Michael J. Bader shares in his book, Arousal, The Secret Logic of Sexual Fantasies, book I highly recommend reading, sex is often the vehicle through which we express a range of other feelings and satisfy a host of other needs. Through sex, we establish or avoid emotional connections, and ease everyday anxieties and tensions. Our feelings about the how, where, and why of sexual excitement are often a window into the deepest levels of our psyche and the deepest sources of our suffering and pleasure. So when it comes to questions of why does this turn you on? Why does this excite you? Especially as we consider that so much of what is driving our fantasies, we're not consciously aware of it. And what needs those fantasies are revealing. So personally, I highly encourage you to look at your fantasies as they can powerfully mirror back to you some deeper needs that you may not even be aware you have. But what about more extreme or even violent fantasies? It's important to remember here that just because you fantasize about something doesn't mean that you want to do it in real life or that it even aligns with the vision for your life that you would go so far as to actually play it out. Really, the premise of everything that I want to communicate to you here is to not be afraid or resistant of exploring your own fantasies and what deeper need that may be fulfilling, or reflecting back to you that there is a need that you really need to have fulfilled out in real life, whether it's in the form of playing out this fantasy or not. And speaking of darker fantasies, Dr. Bader in his book was telling the story of a woman who had basically a rape fantasy of sorts, and they were unpacking the layers of that, in which the possibility of child abuse came up. And Dr. Bader goes on to say, the reasons that childhood abuse often produces adults who get turned on by sexual enactments of dominance and submission does not involve simple imitative learning, but instead a deep psychological need to transform helplessness into power. Now, this is not to say that everyone with a kink or a desire or a longing or a craving for dominance or submission has had something as traumatic as childhood abuse. It is simply one thing to consider in the enormous puzzle of human sexuality and the art and science of arousal, and especially within the context of emotional and spiritual healing. Exploring your fantasies and furthermore, your kinks can be a really powerful healing and transformation process. Alright, so fantasies are one thing, you're imagining them in your head, but what about porn? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and speak about porn in a way that you may not have heard anybody else do on this particular topic. As ethical porn site Afterglow says, porn can be a great way to explore fantasies, learn about what turns you on, and prioritize your pleasure. And it can even make you better partners depending on how you approach it. Also, when done consciously instead of flippantly, porn can help people tap into their bodies and connect with sexual pleasure in a way that's fun, empowering, and safe. So for me, the way I see it, it is not a black or white thing where you watch porn, you're a bad person, or you shouldn't be doing that. A big reason that porn is such a problem is because it is a shameful, dirty little secret that a lot of people have. Something that they have to hide from their partners. Something that they feel like they can't openly talk about without this feeling of disgust in themselves. Like, if I actually had the partner or the kind of sex life that I wanted, I wouldn't ever need to look at porn. But again, porn can be something that can help you to connect with more of your desires and more of those deeper needs, making conscious what is unconscious and helping you to become a better lover, more in tune with your body, and help you access the orgasmic energy that is in itself a portal into deeper sexual healing, spiritual healing, and energetic activations. Especially for those of you who really struggle to allow yourselves to fully surrender to your pleasure to the point that you can't have an orgasm, or having an orgasm is really, really difficult. Allowing yourself to explore A, your fantasies, and B, ethical porn, which I'll go deeper into in just a moment, can help you get over the edge so you can access the deeper healing that your orgasm opens you up to. Which, by the way, within my new Come As You Are, a healing journey into self-pleasure course, I'm going to be sharing with you how to use your orgasm as the portal or opening to a deeper experience where you can release sexual shame, sexual blocks, and even alchemizing or transforming heavy, deep, dark human emotions into power, beauty, and light. And there's something really powerful about simply owning, you know what, this is what turns me on. I acknowledge, even just to myself, that this is something that I desire, something that arouses me. Maybe not, again, something that I actually want to do in real life, but this does something for me, and I'm gonna see what's there for me. There's some kind of gift there for me. Even if it's literally just helping me get to that edge where I can release and fully surrender and free fall into my orgasm, energetically dropping into this portal where I can access all of these deeper healing experiences that my soul is calling me to. So now, let's say you do want to explore porn, but you have mixed feelings about it because it's like, okay, is this ethical? Was this made with everyone consenting? Where do I find ethical porn? And I've gotten this question so many times, so I'm really, really excited that I have a resource to share with you today, which, by the way, I am not affiliated with or earning any commissions from sharing this platform with you. I'm simply really excited about this resource because it's the first one of its kind that I found, and they are legit. Two words that have been floating around for some time now in the sex education sphere online are ethical porn. So what is ethical porn? According to the Afterglow site, there is no one definition of what ethical porn is, but here are some things you can consider. 1, are the performers paid fairly and promptly? 2, do the performers have bodily autonomy or freedom? 3, is it made with everyone's consent? 4, what physical and emotional safety practices are being taken? 5, does it show both fantasy and realistic pleasure? And 6, does it represent diversity, including race, gender, body types, disabilities, and sexual orientation? And while we're at it, let's explore some common beliefs, which Afterglow also does a fantastic job of outlining on their site. One of those common beliefs is that women are often exploited or trafficked. And here's what they say about that. Legal porn is not the same as image-based sexual abuse, and sex work is not the same as trafficking. Conflating sex work, including porn, with abuse hurts sex workers and other people in the porn industry, many of whom are women. Legal porn sites filter for legal content and require supporting consent documents. I can vouch for this firsthand. Ryan and I both had to submit our IDs and a picture of us holding our IDs and like all this proof of our identities consenting to be on the OnlyFans platform when we decided to launch our OnlyFans profile. So even for that, when you're making your own porn, you have to provide proof that there is consent and there is a conscious decision to engage in creating this kind of content. Another common belief is that porn promotes body image issues. And here's the thing about that. So as Afterglow says, mainstream porn often features women who look one type of way, and that image doesn't represent all women. Ethical porn often does aim to portray a diversity of bodies, real sex, and drop-dead sexy aesthetics. If you're looking for a body-positive porn where legit female pleasure is the center point, it does exist. Ethical porn producers, many of whom are women, are making it a point to highlight real women's sexual pleasure on the big screen. And they have this picture on here with all these different bodies. I fucking love it. Now, another concern that I hear from people that I also had myself was, well, if I'm always watching porn or I'm always in my head wrapped up in my fantasies, then isn't that less enlightened or less good or less conscious? And also, won't I get addicted to that and then I'll have to watch porn every time if I want to come? The short answer is you have complete freedom to explore in whichever direction you want to in different seasons of your self-discovery. So for example, personally, there have been some seasons where I will literally just listen to ASMR. Yes, someone just making little crinkly noises and whispering things that I may not even be able to audibly make out what they're saying, but there's something about that that feels really safe and allows me to fully relax in my nervous system to open up to the pleasure. I went through 6 solid months of listening to ASMR during my self-pleasure sessions. And then I've had other seasons where I will be super into watching a certain kind of porn scene where something in me is activated, or an invitation to surrender more deeply through my fantasy, through my kinks. And there have been yet other seasons where my whole self-pleasure practice is me just envisioning the energy in my body growing and flowing and overflowing into this explosive, mind-blowing orgasm. So it's important to recognize that within that question alone of, won't I become addicted to this? Isn't this less good? There is fear. And of course there would be fear, especially if you've never let yourself go there before, or if you have gone there, but with a different mindset and different intentions, and maybe not as conscious about what you ultimately want. And things didn't go very well, or it created a lot of pain and chaos in your life. But if you see it as an opening, as a tool in your toolbox of many tools, again, which I'm sharing in the Come As You Are course, then you're not going to be as afraid that you'll get trapped or stuck in this one path to pleasure. And final misconception or common belief about porn that I'm going to share with you in this video is that porn lacks consent and negotiation. Just like with play within the kink community or in kink events and alternative lifestyle events, there is a lot of conversation before the action ever happens about your yeses, your nos, what each person needs to feel safe, what each person really wants to get out of the experience, how they're gonna call a pause if they need to pause, what their safe words are, what toys they might be using, what lube they might be using, where the things are gonna be. All of this stuff is intricately discussed beforehand, which, by the way, we could take a lesson or two from that in regular sex world, because how often do we neglect to talk about any of that stuff, and in the moment it just feels awkward to like pause the flow and ask for what you want, or communicate that something isn't working for you because there's a fear that you're going to hurt the other person's feelings. Which, by the way, this is why it is so important to also be having conversations about sex outside of the bedroom, not immediately before or after or during sex. And to help you have those conversations more smoothly, more effectively, and with a little more fun and playfulness, be sure to download my free erotic communication guide. The link is in the description below. As a recap, the book I mentioned on sexual arousal and fantasies is titled Arousal by Dr. Michael J. Bader, and a fantastic resource for ethical porn can be found at xoafterglow.com. And if you're ready to go deeper into your self-pleasure practice for sexual healing and sexual liberation, check out my new course, Come As You Are. It officially launches on March 15th, 2022. In this course, I'm including all kinds of guided practices from yoni de-armoring, yoni gazing, specific guided self-pleasure techniques, embodiment practices, and so much more. And if you pre-register before March 15th, you'll get access at no additional cost to 2 virtual group sessions, 1 virtual group coaching session, and 1 virtual self-pleasure circle, where yes, we will all be self-pleasuring ourselves together in a virtual space. Talk about releasing sexual shame. Again, all of this can be found in the description below. Alright, wild ones, that's it for today. Exploring the role of fantasies and porn in your sexual exploration, liberation, and healing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend who would also enjoy it, and subscribe for more on sexual empowerment and liberation for women and people with vulvas. In the meantime, here's to your awakening and your pleasure for a pussy-powered life.